Today I'm doing an update on the 3D Blu-ray collection. Since I last made my series, I have gotten 5 new movies, and 2 of them you guys knew about at the time, but there's 3 more that I ended up picking up the other day, and I'm just here to talk about them. So we're gonna go in alphabetical order. The first 2 that I got, it's a twofer, is The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. Now, these 2 movies were at literally every single secondhand movie shop or media shop since I've been collecting 3D Blu-rays. They've just been there. I've never picked them up because I'm not a really huge fan of the Amazing Spider-Man movies, and I was like, I don't really want them. But people did say that the 3D was really well done, and the Amazing Spider-Man 1 was actually shot in 3D, but I'll get to that. But I didn't want to pick them up, and eventually I caved, and I was like, okay, fine, I'll just get them because they're everywhere, and they're there, they're taunting me, and I just want to get it over with. So I picked those 2 up, and it's um it's really interesting. So for some reason, when it's showing the previews of the movie on the menu screen, it's in full screen, but the movie is in widescreen, and I don't really know what that's about. I believe it's because it was released in IMAX, so maybe they had some full screen things. But let's start with the Amazing Spider-Man one. So this one is, film-wise, is the better of the 2, and this one was actually shot in 3D. There is a cool 3D featurette with Mark Webb on the 3D Blu-ray. He's sitting there with a 3D camera rig, and he's talking about 3D, and he actually talks about the interaxial and the interocular, and he talks about the convergence point, and they actually have a little uh, interactive thing where you can change the convergence point on 3 different scenes in the movie. It's really cool. It's pretty basic, but it's really cool that they have that. I don't know if Mark Webb really knew much about 3D before starting, but he certainly knows his stuff, and he talked a lot about a lot of great things. And so the 3D in the movie itself is pretty good. Nothing I would really write home about, but it's good. You can tell that he was really starting to get his feet wet with it, and there are some cool shots in 3D. Is swinging through New York, and he really pushes the 3D there. I believe, if I'm not misremembering this, I believe the Amazing Spider-Man 1 is the scene where has the scene where he pulls himself, he slingshots himself out of a crane, or a crane metal arm, and that they really pushed the 3D in there really extreme, and it looks so cool in 3D. The 3D in the rest of the movie is just kind of it's good. Like I said, shot in 3D, so obviously everything's gonna have a lot of detail in it. And while I wasn't super blown away by how good how much they pushed the 3D, in this movie, I will say that The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which was post-converted, actually has more exciting 3D. And they push it a lot deeper, everything's more volumetric. That kind of goes back to the old argument, or not really argument, but the old thing that if you post-convert something, you have more actual control over individual objects in the scene, so you can bend the stereo in unrealistic ways to have a more exciting sort of feature there. And plus, since they're post-converting, they're not really being held down by the large 3D camera rigs. But The Amazing Spider-Man 2 isn't that great of a movie. It does have more pop-outs, it's much deeper, but the movie itself isn't really that great. So both of the movies kind of even out. Like, you have the one with the 3D's not super amazing, but it's pretty good, but the movie's much better. Than you have the one where the 3D's really, really good, but the movie itself isn't really that great. You really got to choose between the 2. I picked up both of them because, just, why the hell not? Like I said, they've been seen everywhere, and I thought I might as well just get it out of the way. The next one, which I picked up at the same time, was Gulliver's Travels, and this is a movie I had been looking to get for a very long time. Uh, the movie itself isn't really that good of a movie by any stretch of the imagination, but I it it's kind of a guilty pleasure sort of thing, where I'm like, yeah, it's pretty bad, but I still enjoy parts of it, and Jack Black is, he's doing his Jack Black thing, pretty much the same character he was in Kung Fu Panda, that sort of archetype. But the 3D in this movie came out in 2010, and it was a post conversion. And I don't know if this movie was initially designed for 3D or what happened, but the post conversion job is, I can't even really describe it. The, I just want to say the actual material of Gulliver's Travels, that whole idea of this, normal sized human in this miniature land of Lilliput, that's what the place is called in the movie, is a really good idea. That is actually really good for 3D. If they had more experience doing post conversion, it's so weird. It's like the objects in the scene are given depth and then others aren't. Like, I can't even explain it properly. It just looks so janky. Sometimes it looks good. Sometimes it works, but a lot of the time it's just kind of like, what? And primarily when he's in the office, it's like the movie's almost flat. But then you look at the sides and you can tell that it's like there's some depth there, but I like I said, I can't really describe it. And this movie kind of has the same issues that Alice in Wonderland had, which came out around the same time. And after seeing this movie and that movie and knowing like the really big controversy about Clash of the Titans, well, the post conversion was really bad in that. And I can understand why audiences got burnt out on 3D and they're like, "Oh, it's dumb, it's bad, it gives me a headache," because it was still going through its teething period. They were still figuring things out. And by the time I really was able to start watching 3D movies, it was not to say that there were only bad 3D movies at the time. They were amazing. Around that time, like 2011, Hugo came out. Of course, you had movies like Coraline, Polar Express, How to Train Your Dragon, animated movies, and the movies that were actually shot in 3D did really well. But it's just the post conversion jobs just weren't quite there yet. They just didn't have the experience. And by the time I started watching 3D movies, it was like 2015. Well, I had been watching 3D movies before, but like when I was actually like on my own and had my own money where I could go out and see these movies, it was like around 2015. And they pretty much almost perfected it at that point. So I was kind of like, what is everyone talking about? Everything looks fine to me. But I can see why people got really upset. And it is really disappointing. Seeing the movie in 2D before, I was like, oh man, this is going to be cool in 3D. I can't wait to see it. And then it is just being a big nothing burger. Really disappointing, especially like I said, since the material itself lends itself extremely well for the 3D medium. And then after that, we have Kubo and the Two Strings. This is the fourth animated movie from Laika, and I actually might make a separate video just about the 3D and Laika films because it's kind of been all over the place. But this movie came out after Box Trolls, and the 3D in this movie is better than Box Trolls. This is their second post-conversion effort. It's better than Box Trolls, but it's still not super great. There are moments where they really push the 3D in an extreme way, but I don't know. There's just something off about those moments. I can't really put my finger on it, but you can tell they're definitely pushing it. And there is one particular moment where I don't know if it was an accident or intentional, but the character Beetle is played by Matthew McConaughey, shoots an arrow at a fish because they're fishing off of a boat, and the way the 3D is done, the arrow and the fish look like they're bigger than the boat is, and I don't know what the deal is with that, but I think I vaguely remember thinking that when I saw the movie in theaters. I was like, that looks weird. But the 3D in the movies, it's all right. They have some cool, fun moments, but overall, it doesn't reach the heights that Paranorman or Coraline hit. The last one on the list is Passengers. This is a movie that you had to pick up the 4K to get the 3D, and I actually like that model. There are a few movies. I believe Alita Battle Angel is another one. At least here in the States, you have to pick up the 4K to get the 3D. And I think that's actually a pretty good place for them to start sticking 3D movies. You know, if they want to push both mediums, which they really don't want to push 3D anymore, let's be honest, at least not in the States. But it's a good idea because you get people that are cinephiles and they want to maybe have the 4K and the 3D version, and to just package the 3D with the 4K is a really good idea. Anyway, let's talk about Passengers. Passengers, pretty good movie. It's actually a movie I had been tempted to pick up several times in the past and I just never did, but I'm glad that I got it. It's a pretty good movie. Chris Pratt's great. Jennifer Lawrence is fantastic as always. It's a real shame that she's not acting anymore. She's one of the best actresses or actors there ever was, in my opinion. And the 3D in this movie is pretty good. Um, is this a movie that really needs 3D? It's more of a drama. So does it really need 3D? Not really. But it fits it better than some movies that have come out in 3D, like The Great Gatsby. Like, who read that story and was like, you know what, this would make for a good 3D movie. And not only that, we're gonna make it really fast cut so you get headaches while you're trying to watch it. Passengers fits it a little bit better. It's out in space. The scenes are really cool. Lots of depth there. But is it super important to see it in 3D? Probably not. And I'm not regretting that I saw it in 3D. It's just kind of like, doesn't really doesn't don't super need it for this movie. But that being said, looking back, there really isn't any movies that I have gotten the last 5 that I would super recommend picking up. Either the 3D quality is just or the movie itself isn't good enough to really justify picking up something like that. The way I pick up 3D Blu-rays is it's kind of a mix between, is the 3D really good and is the movie going to be something I'm going to want to watch over and over again. And like Kubo, I love that movie. I would definitely watch it over and over again, but the 3D is not really that great. The Amazing Spider-Man 2, 3D is really great, but that's not really a movie I'm going to keep going back to. There really isn't anything I can super recommend. If I had to, though, I would probably, even though I just said it isn't really important to see it in 3D, I'd probably recommend Passengers. The 3D quality and the movie quality itself are pretty much matched. They're both pretty damn good, and but there are obviously other movies that like actual story or the movies themselves, regardless of the 3D, I'd probably recommend before, like Kubo and the Two Strings is really good, even if the ending is a bit confused. And like I suppose that's it.